Now boarding for train number 4, the Southwest G, making stops at Parson Lane, La Plata, Fort Madison, Galesburg, Chillicothe.
20th of January 1995, Kansas City. I set out for tourist information, which turned out to be a desk in an office space above a shopping centre. I went up in a lift and after much searching found the said desk. It was manned by a lady who did her utmost to find me some cheap accommodation. No easy task, as one of her colleagues began what led to a long chain of phone calls, where at one point she cupped the mouthpiece, whispering, "You'll have to pretend to be a student. I've got a student here from France who's looking for some accommodation." So now, not only was I a student, but a French student. But with all these charades, she still drew a blank. Clutching at straws, she suggested I stayed in the Mission, but ended up at the Midwestern Hotel. It wasn't advertised, and known only to the locals as cheap, $25 per night. I traipsed down there and walked in, and there were several scruffy looking guys lying around watching TV. It seemed like a hangout place for undesirables, which then dawned on me I'd become one too, having spent several nights sleeping on trains and being generally unshaven and unkempt. So I double checked with the lady at the desk that it was $25, and she looked me up and down and said, "There's a cheaper room if you like, it's $22.50. A lethargic man showed me to my room, which appeared antiquated, but it had a TV. And so I lay on the bed and tried to muster up the energy to return to my sketching of America. Entering out into possibly not the most picturesque of neighbourhoods. Nevertheless, I will endeavour to record whatever treasures Kansas City has to offer. And so, after drawing some of the sights, which included a statue of a bull, very, very high on top of a great column of concrete, I returned to the hotel. That evening I heard the title music for The X-Files coming from another room, and I quickly switched through the channels until I found it. Happy memories of being home watching The X-Files. It was comforting. However, those warm, homely feelings were soon disturbed somewhat as I heard something rustling in the bin. Was I encountering my own X-File? And then something alien scuttled across the wall. It turned out this was my first experience of cockroaches. And the light didn't work in the toilet. And so after another restless night, I was fairly pleased to be leaving Kansas City and to board a nice, clean, cockroach-free train. And so, with a sigh of relief, I sat down on the top deck to witness a cockroach crawling out of the sleeve of my coat. 21st of January, Galesburg, Illinois. I spent all day traipsing around in the snow. All day people kept saying to me, "Why did you come here? This place sucks." I said I was seeing the real America. It was my duty as an artist to capture everything, even the bits that suck. Besides, how was I supposed to know this place was going to suck? Didn't say on the map, "This place sucks, don't bother." To warm up and fuel up, I sat down in a hot dog bar and had a veggie hot dog special with everything on it. The place was full of aeroplanes and cars made from Coca-Cola cans. That evening, the station was invaded by an exuberant skiing party, and I was the source of much amusement. Coincidentally, I was going where they were going. But what I didn't realise was that Winter Park was in fact a ski resort, and my own naivety and lack of research was showing, as I was beginning to think that maybe this wasn't such a great idea. One guy with frighteningly empty eyes stared at me very closely, and then my backpack. "So where are you going?" "Winter Park," I replied, knowing that I would be the butt of all jokes. "So what are you going to do there? Just hang out? What are you going to do? Sleep out under the stars? Just hang out?" This went on for some time. Another guy with childlike enthusiasm said, "So have you ever seen the Rocky Mountains? When I first saw the Rocky Mountains, I fainted. I was literally struck dumb. Seriously, you're going to love the Rocky Mountains." No one could understand why I was going to a ski resort without skis, and Somehow I didn't sense that they would be able to relate to me being an artist and taking my sketchbook to draw. Sunday the 22nd of January. There was a long tunnel before we reached Winter Park. It was called the Moffat Tunnel, and an announcement came over the speakers. We are now approaching the Moffat Tunnel. If you cup your hands against the glass of the window and look out hard into the darkness, you should be able to see some of the tunnel's native inhabitants and their little red eyes staring back at you. And everyone looked hard into the darkness, cupping their hands against the window. What is it? Where is it? Can you see it? But I looked. No, I couldn't see it. I strained my eyes to identify the little red eyes. And then continued the announcement. If you see them, then you've been spending too much time in the lounge car. What I've noticed about the train crews is that they do have a sense of humour. They were entertainers, and I suppose with the vast distances to cover, someone has to relieve the boredom. They would use the PA not just for apologising for delays, but pointing out irretrievable car wrecks hanging off the edges of mountains and other such intriguing sights along the way. Winter Park was like a Christmas card. Candy cane lampposts, snow-lined streets, but it was very cold. For want of a better plan, I decided to take the bus up to the ski resort and stood there and watched as everyone else placed their skis on the side of the bus. Hey, where are your skis? Yeah, we know, you don't have any. And arriving at the ski slope, I stood jealously watching the skiers with their glowing coats sliding down the slope, and I drew for as long as my fingers could stand, as well as going to Taco Bell and tourist information cum museum. Outside were wooden sculptures of local historic celebrities and a nearby hotel with a fence made entirely of old skis. I just love these inventive forms of recycling. And as the sun went down, it grew exceedingly cold, and with inadequate clothing, it was cold. Having frozen my fingers all day amidst mockery and humiliation, drawing skiers and skiing-related paraphernalia, I was very pleased to be waiting for a train out of Winter Park in a nice, warm waiting room.